Hey, I thought I'd do a quick overview for KOF All Star. The first thing I'm going to do is tell people that if you want to re-roll, there's already guides for how to do that. I will tell you that it takes about 40 minutes to an hour, so unless you're really patient, you're probably not going to bother to do that. I will tell you that you have to finish KOF 94 Chapter 8 before they will unlock. You get this secret shop here which has like exclusive loot box tables and things like that. So here they are here. The pity system is 300 attempts, or 27,000 rubies respectively, so if you use all the free ones and you buy some of the cash packages, some of them are actually quite nice. It actually is feasible to get one without rerolling. Now, while I'm on the subject of spending money, there are some really good ones here. This one gives you 100 rubies every day for 28 days, so that will definitely add up. And this one gives you a bunch every time you rank up your account, so that's actually a pretty good deal as well. This other stuff is kind of a mixed bag. Skip tickets are always nice to have, so sometimes it could be worth it to buy these. Anything in the secret shop is usually junk. The only thing I ever really bought out of here from the Japanese version was pretty much just the auto clear skip tickets whenever I was running low. So before I get started on anything else, I'm going to go ahead and both explain how I play on controller, and then also talk about the mechanics. Now the first take I did this, I actually died because I'm towards the end of the game on normal, and it actually gets quite challenging. So let's do an easy level here, just explain everything. Okay, so you notice I have all these icons here. These are basically what I'm using to emulate a controller.
Ready, go!
So let me take out these mooks here and I'll explain it the best I can. So the analog stick is movement. I don't really know much about mobile games, but generally when you try to use a D-pad, it tends to get kind of finicky. I don't really think you could play this on stick because it requires more than 8 buttons. You could probably get away with getting rid of block and give yourself an extra button, but I think playing this on controller is probably the most ideal. This isn't like the most precision-heavy beat-em-up out there. So square button for me is S string, pretty standard action game fare. X is block, like I just said, and then the dodge. The thing about blocking in this game is that it doesn't reduce damage that much. It's almost always a better option to just dodge through something, especially if the computer tries to do a DM or SDM towards you. Generally you want to roll behind them and punish, even when they do just basic special moves as well. So you could probably get away with just not mapping the block at all if you're a little short on buttons. So the circle button for me is this move here. Triangle is this one, and then R2 is this one. And then for DM, I have this set on R1, and then I have this one set on L2. Now in terms of tagging, I have them set on left, right, and then the striker is set on up, and then the supporter is set on down. So this allows me to have access to all functions of the game, at least in terms of combat, without touching the mouse. There are ways to play completely with the controller, but I imagine it would take a lot longer to get through the menus and stuff without it, so I just use the mouse for any non-combat scenario. Now when you tag in this game, you actually get a ground bounce, so it both helps with the flow of how you just deal with the mooks, and it helps on bosses as well, because you can keep them in hit stun. So let's go ahead and show that right now. It'll be kind of hard because these are level 1 enemies, but you'll get the point. It's actually quite fun to play this with underleveled characters, but one of the limitations is that when you do that, if their total combat power is too low, then they won't stagger. But you can still have a lot of fun with challenging stuff in this game. So there's a number of ways to get free rubies. There's daily missions. Luckily, we got the recent build of the Japanese version where they give you 50 rubies a day instead of 10. So, being a free-to-play user could actually mean that you can buy the loot boxes. So it would take about 20 days to earn 10 loot boxes if you didn't spend any. But there's usually events as well. Right now, the roulette does not give you any rubies at all, so you won't have as much of a steady supply of them as you would on the Japanese version when they do them. But I imagine they'll probably roll that out later on. So here's the loot box system. Pretty standard stuff. There is no increase in the drop rates if you buy 10. You're basically just saving one extra loot box attempt when you buy 10. So if you don't have the money to buy something and one of the banners is going to expire, it's generally better to just spend them if you're not going to have any more time or money to accumulate more rupees, because there's no like benefit at all. You can get the best character in the game with 1 versus 10, so it's up to you. Battle cards are very much the same way as well. Now, battle cards are kind of hard to get right now because there's just like not a lot of them, but eventually these will be a very important part of your character's development. Generally, a character with nothing and a character with a full skill tree and the cards fully optimized is like a massive difference over a character that doesn't have those things. So you generally want to focus on them as soon as you can. Now, if you want to know which characters are the best, there's actually a Japanese site called Altema. That is a wiki that has a lot of useful information. I imagine it will be a long time before any English-speaking resources will have that kind of like vast amount of information. So I'm going to go ahead and link that in the description. It's better than explaining which characters are best and whatnot. When you start the game, you won't have an option for a 5-star character. A lot of people are recommending K-Dash. Now, I don't want to discredit them. A lot of them have been playing this game longer than I've been. I've only been playing this game on the Japanese server for about 3.5 months now, so it's not like I'm an expert or anything. But K-Dash in particular, he feels like he has like arthritis in this game or something. His S-string is like really slow. He feels kind of awkward to use compared to more of the faster characters. So it's up to you, but you can also get one every 28 days just by logging in. So you're really only going to be set back about a month. Also, if you're trying to get Orochi Iori or Leona, you're going to be getting a bunch of the 5-star characters anyway. Like, I got all these just from trying to get him, so you're probably going to get a lot of those characters anyway. So let's go into a more challenging level here. Now, you notice this here. This is the color or affinity class system, whatever you want to call it. It will determine how much damage you take and give out when you attack the enemy. Now, the game is nice enough. It's kind of like Dynasty Warriors 8, Dynasty Warrior 8's affinity system, minus the whole not staggering crap. So you can get by without it, but once you start getting towards the more difficult content, you definitely will want to build your team around whatever color the enemies are weak to on that specific level. So right now, if I picked Leona here, she would do extra damage. Likewise, if I had blue-type characters, they would do extra damage as well. Meanwhile, my main team is green right now, so they would do less damage. So for instance, I wouldn't want to go with this team because they're all at a disadvantage, whereas with this one, the only one that's at a disadvantage is Andy, and he'll still be doing pretty good damage. Generally, running rainbow teams is not advised, at least towards the more difficult content, because you won't get all the bonuses. A lot of the best leader skills actually give you an attack bonus for one specific type. I believe Orochi Iori gives it for any type, so that's why he's one of the more sought-out characters. So let me tag in Andy right now. I see he'll be doing significantly less damage. Now, you can only use your supporter once, so generally it's only worth using them if you're going to use them on a boss. and specifically you pick one that the enemy is weak towards, so that you get a bunch of extra damage. A lot of times they'll also start a combo for you, but depending on how that particular assist moveset is, it may not be the most ideal thing. Now I thought I'd talk about skip tickets. The power-up dungeons are where you're going to get the majority of your resources just to power up your characters in the game. And it can be very time-consuming to do a lot of them, so generally you want to use skip tickets once you've unlocked the highest level. Like right here, I don't have Lunatic yet because I haven't finished 98 Chapter 1, but say I wanted to get some experience capsules. I could skip one like this, and it would just give you 4 every time. So generally you want to use them for this, however they take a lot of AP or stamina. So right now it's kind of hard to accumulate a lot of stamina. Later on, they just hand it out like candy. Like on my Japanese account, I have like 3,000 stamina out of like 200. So I could probably play for like 24 hours straight and not run out. But at the beginning of the game, especially right now, they're not giving out a lot of AP, so you probably want to use these sparingly. I think they're one of the most important things because they can also help you get through dailies and events as well. Right now, they've got this Welcome Festival. You can win 600 rubies, which is 300 short of 10 attempts at the Orochi characters. But it unlocks on a daily basis, so you'll actually won't be able to progress right away. There's been times in the Japanese version where I've actually skipped all the way to the end by not playing and just completed a bunch of stuff at once, but obviously the game has not been out for a week yet, so that's not possible. So also the growth mission is also giving out some really nice stuff right now as well. I'm on level 4, so a lot of it is things I haven't done yet, but if you actually focus on one main character, one main team, you'll have a lot of this stuff completed already, so you can actually save some time. Now there's also the Soul Quest. The Soul Quest is a way for you to get extra souls to level your characters. So let's go ahead and do one of those right now. Fighting myself. If you're wondering why there's so many versions of Andy and Kyo and stuff, it's because there's one for like respective versions of KOF. Like they have one for 94, sometimes they'll have one for 2003, 13, so on and so forth. And it's generally recommended to look on the Altema to see which ones are the best ones. Generally when you fight APCs, which means automated player characters, you generally want to roll behind them, wait for them to whiff something, and then punish. Ideally, you want to knock them in the air as soon as possible as well, because otherwise they'll tech out very often. Like Andy 98 has a lot of bleeding, so that actually helped me quite a bit there. So you want to do 3 of these a day because it will give you a bunch of souls and you can level up your character that way. Not sure why it's not letting me skip it. I guess it's because you have to have all 3 of them done. Alright, let's go ahead and do it again. Not much less to explain at this point.
Ready, go!
Ah, man, he had to do that. Oh well, I'll get it next time, but eventually you can skip them. If you want to waste the tickets every day, you can get through this a lot quicker. Okay, so if you want to level up your character, you will have to limit break them. A 5-star will at a cap of level 50. You can rank them up to level 60 when you promote them to 6 stars. And you do that from the missions in the power-up dungeon. However, past that point, you will have to level them up with souls. So you want to do the event quest. So for example, I can level him up to level 68 right now. Now, since this is a loot box game, you're going to get a lot of trash drops. And the trash drops can actually be sold. When you get a dupe, you will get souls for that respective character, and you can sell them here, and then use them to get souls for whatever character you want. Like, for instance, Betty Maru, I have him at level 7, so I don't really care about the stuff that he has, or the souls that he has. So I can get rid of them, and then put them towards someone else. Generally, 3 and 4 stars you want to get rid of, because they're mostly useless. At the beginning of the game, not as much, but generally you're not going to want to focus on them much at all, so ideally you just get rid of them. So that's going to give me 9,200 souls. So I've been working on 98, Andy, and Robert, and you can see here I already purchased them for today. So you can only get 60 souls a day, and it costs 18,000 of the soul dust to get them. So generally, you want to make sure that you can do this daily, that way you can get a couple levels on your mains every day. So if you do spend a lot of money on loot boxes, it's actually not too bad. You actually will be able to level up the characters you actually want to use more often. And once you open up a couple loot boxes, you're pretty much just going to get the same 3 and 4 star trash characters over and over. So generally, you just sell them and then just keep going. So if you do spend a lot of money on this game, as much as it sucks that the rates are not that great, at least you'll have some extra resources for your other characters. There's also events as well. I'll probably go over these once I get a decent enough roster. You will have to unlock a lot of the basic story mode, or go through most of this basic story mode to get them. But you generally want to use these as well. There's also a very useful Discord that I will link to, both the official one and the one that was mainly used for the Japanese server. They post a lot of guides there in English about the events in the Japanese version, the English version, and they also post character analyses for the new characters that get added to the loot boxes. So I recommend going there. Anyway, that's basically the gist of the game. I don't really know a whole lot about Epic Quest yet. I'll probably do another guide on that later on, but that should get you guys started. Pretty much any emulator works for this, as far as I know. I have not been able to get a stable 60 FPS. I don't know if it's just the game or what, but you can use pretty much anyone. They all have pretty good controller support, so you can use the setup that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, or you can tweak it to your own liking, but the game is a lot more enjoyable with controller. I can't imagine playing this on an actual mobile device, but it's definitely a lot of fun to play this way, so I recommend doing it. Anyway, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.